this space is not available. 5 words and a failure tonight for a much anticipated conversation between Elon Musk and Donald Trump. That X event that everyone was supposed to watch, well, it broke the internet, and not in the Beyonce kind of way. If you are trying to click over to watch that Trump-Musk talk, which I believe is still ongoing, for most of the time you couldn't do it for about 40 minutes. And when the interview finally did get underway, Trump went into his normal stump speech, including more Kamala Harris insults. This was, Tara, just maybe an allegory of what's been going on with the Trump campaign for some time.
Yeah.
40 minutes on hold. They start off, it's meandering, and he's doing exactly what a lot of people are trying to tell him not to do, which is attacking Harris not on substance, but just because she exists.
Yeah, I mean, this shouldn't be news. This is what Trump does. He does the complete opposite of what everyone else tells him to do. He's petulant and intransigent, and he thinks that he's his own best campaign manager, consultant, political communications guru, and there's a reason why he's now losing. There's a reason why Kamala Harris, the swing in the polls, that Kamala Harris has overtaken him in swing states. People are tired of this act. It's a Vegas lounge act now. He needs new material. And the insults are something that, particularly for moderates and moderate women who are an important constituency, if Trump thinks he's going to win this time around, they don't want to hear this. And so the people who have been running his campaign are very smart, veteran political operatives, and now they're facing the time, the honeymoon period of keeping a disciplined Trump together is over. This is Donald Trump unleashed. He's going to do what he wants to do, and it's not working for him. And the polls show why it isn't.
I'm going to play a little bit of what he's been saying on this X stream. He talks about Harris and really seems to be still grappling with the fact that she's now the candidate and it's not Joe Biden anymore.
They're doing it right now while this third-rate phony candidate. Don't forget, I beat Biden. He failed in the debate miserably. We cannot have a Democrat. We cannot have her. She's incompetent. She's as bad as Biden.
It's like watching Grumpy Old Man or something. I don't mind attacking a person for their policies or their positions, but he's just sort of griping just because she exists, to your point. And I think we know why he's griping because she exists. She's a black woman. And everything that I've seen in the course of his career, and I know that he has black women in his circle, and I know he's appointed Omarosa and all of that. I know all of that background. But I also know when he's confronted and being held accountable by black women, time and time again, he has shown to be someone who is uncomfortable in that situation. And I think he's complaining more because it's Kamala Harris, a black woman, than any other factor.
There's nothing that he's saying about her, however, that wasn't actually said by Biden campaign personnel in leaks to the press for months and months before the hot swap unfolded. For literally about 3+ years, you had folks around President Biden who were leaking against, undermining, characterizing Kamala Harris as a disastrous, underprepared.
How do you know this?
Because of extensive reporting,
and
drawing on White House sources.
How come former President Trump doesn't know this? If you've known for 3 years this woman was coming, and now she's here, and you're confused about what to do.
I'm sorry, I wasn't sufficiently clear. What I'm saying is that what he is saying now, when he is diminishing her capacity and what have you, these were all things that were standard talking points coming from Democrats who were anxious about her weaknesses.
So
now, only over the last month or so has the narrative entirely changed about this because the press no longer felt obliged to protect President Biden.
Are you suggesting then this is originating because Donald Trump is following the intel of Democrats, and this is based solely upon the intel of Democrats, and not some long-standing representation of how he feels about American people since the 1970s?
Okay, I think what he's suggesting is that this is not just off of what Democrats have said, but Democrats have also said some of the same things Trump has said. And so him saying these things is not something new that no one's ever said before, that she's incompetent. And you can point to the policies. You can look at so many policies throughout this administration that she has to own that will hurt during swing states.
The idea, just to be clear, I mean, I understand that maybe there were some Democrats privately who were nervous about Harris, but I don't know that you have Democrats calling her phony, incompetent, a third-rate candidate.
what I was about to
that
say.
is well
I must have missed
beyond-
where Democrats called her a bum. I must have missed where they questioned her ethnicity. I must have missed when Democrats called her low IQ and stupid, and all of the litany of awful insults that Donald Trump has levied against Kamala Harris since she's been in the race.
But did
Now,
you
let's
miss
not
when she
forget that
couldn't even
he's
get
not-
a couple
she-
percentage points in 2020 to make it to the first primary?
This isn't the first time Donald
She wasn't
Trump has-
wildly popular.
It doesn't matter. She's the vice president of the United States, and she's beating Donald Trump right now. So, but what also we are
All
not,
that matters is what
also
happens
we're
on
forgetting
November 5th.
is that Donald Trump's history of insulting women is very long. As a matter of fact,
And her history of
long-
failing
it's
is long as well when it comes
and
to these
documented
policies that
how many
matter.
times when he was at the bully pulpit, he insulted
What-
women
what we know
journalists
is that this-
repeatedly, including you, Abby, who he also called stupid, which you're not. You went to Harvard, and you are far from that. And this is what Donald Trump does. He doesn't like to be held accountable. So because he is now in a position where he now is being held accountable for what he said, we know already that he has a history of being a sexist, and now he cannot
This is base
grapple with the
management.
fact.
These are not the arguments that are actually effective for Kamala Harris.
Oh,
If you look
no?
at the
Why is
recent,
she up
for
11
example,
points?
Reid Hoffman's group Blueprint has described what is effective for Kamala Harris. What is effective for her is taking positions that are the positions that would be endorsed by Joe Manchin and by Bernie Sanders, being perfectly down the line. I will protect Social Security and Medicare. It is not actually attacking Trump. What you guys are doing right now is,
Pointing
helpful
out the
base
facts.
management right now, but it actually isn't something that moves the needle.
I'm
What
just
you see is
repeating-
actually this kind of
we're
base
just- it's
management
actually-
doesn't
it's
actually
actually
have
an
much of a
interesting-
material effect. Anti-Trump arguments
Wait a
are
minute.
actually so played out, so tired.
It's an
that
interesting
they're actually
point
not
that
moving the
Reinhard
needle.
is making about base management on the
Yeah.
left, but really, it seems also that Trump is doing some base management on the right, and there are people in conservative circles who think that the constant attacking of Harris is not working, and this is what they're trying to tell him at this point now publicly.
Stop questioning the size of her crowds and start questioning her position when it comes to what did she do as Attorney General on crime.
When Trump attacks Harris personally rather than on policy, Harris's support among swing voters rises, particularly among women.
Not a good idea if you want to attract suburban women who can make or break your campaign.
I mean, Madison, that's pretty straightforward. I mean, these are people who otherwise would be giving Trump advice. They think that he is on the wrong track here.
Well, and I talked about this on your show on Friday about the fact that many Republicans across the country are concerned about the missed opportunities that we continue to see, not just from President Trump, but from other Republicans that are out there on the stump for the president and for some of the down ballot races as well, that they just simply aren't talking about these policies that are going to swing voters in states like Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin, Georgia. We need to be hearing more about those policies. Like I mentioned, some of the policies that people don't feel the vice president is strong on. These are the things that I don't think we hear enough about. That's what can swing these voters.
Well, I can tell you that the evidence that we've seen already in the polling in swing counties like outside of Philadelphia, Bucks County, Delaware County, Chester counties, you see that there are moderate women there who are not comfortable, Republican right of center women who are not comfortable with Donald Trump, not comfortable with the attacks against women, not comfortable with the extremist agenda in Project 2025 on issues on women's reproductive health and IVF and no-fault divorce and voting rights, all of these things, these attacks on women that are really extreme. They're not comfortable with that. And we're seeing that, and we just saw it today in the New York Times Siena poll, that these places are shifting. Women in these places, in these suburban counties that Donald Trump needs to win, they are not comfortable with that.